Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mythic for Operators. Today we're going to be looking at browser scripting. And we won't go super in depth, but I want to give you an idea of where it is, what it looks like, kind of how it operates. In case you need to troubleshoot something, we'll go more in depth in a developer video as to creating new ones and all the features that you can leverage with it. So first off, you might be wondering, what are browser scripts? Well, if you ever issued a task like PS and saw the data come back in a table, this is a browser script. So if you come down here and look at the output, click the little blue plus, then you'll see here this first button is to toggle browser script. So right now the browser script is running. If we toggle it off, then we'll see the raw output that comes back from this task. It's just structured data. So we can, of course, in tasks that agents do, return whatever that we want to Mythic. Anything you put in the user output gets displayed to the user here. However, some things are a bit easier to parse through if it's structured in some way. So if the agent is returning data in a structured format that you can then leverage, then we can do modifications and turn this plain text data into something that's easier for humans to ingest and rationalize about. That's where the browser scripts come into play to be able to turn this data into that table, into something that you can more easily search through, modify, issue follow-on tasking, stuff like that. Now, if you want to look and see where this data is located, you can come up here to the hamburger icon, click Operation Config, and then Browser Scripts. This will take you to the general browser scripts page. Every operator has their own version of this, so you're not going to be messing up other people's browser scripts as you try and do this. But we can see here that we have the payload, so these are the Apollo browser scripts, what command they're associated with, who created it, if a user has modified it or not, and then the ability to modify it. So what we're looking at, if we scroll down here to Poseidon PS, this is the specific browser script we were just looking at. We'll come over to the side and click Edit. And we're brought to this new page where you can see the payload type that we're looking at and the command in case you needed to modify this and change what command we're looking at. You can see here on the left-hand side, I'll go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. You can see the script that we're actually executing. It's just JavaScript. And the whole point of it is to go through and parse whatever data the agent sent back into something that's structured in a new way, specifically for the Mythic UI, to then parse it and create tables and links and screenshots and all sorts of stuff like that. So here we can see we're making some headers. We go through, we process some data, come down here, we're creating buttons, more plain text data that we want to display. In the end, we're returning a table if everything went okay. Otherwise, if we hit some sort of error, then we're just going to return everything as plain text data. So nothing too crazy going on there. If you want to see this in practice, down here, because we're looking at the Poseidon PS command, Mythic will fetch instances of that command that have already been executed in the operation and populate them down here for you to be able to select and test out your browser script on actual data that you're getting back. So here we can see we've issued two different PS commands. They're both going to have the same data, so you can select whatever one you want. Here it is down here. If you just click it to expand it, like we would do normally, you can see everything gets processed and our table gets generated. Of course, we can click Toggle Browser Script, and we can see this plain text JSON data that we're going to be manipulating. So let's say we actually want to do something here, do something super simple, come up here, and before we parse this, I'll go ahead and log it to the console. So I'll do console.log, response sub I. So whatever one we're about to parse as JSON, let's log it first in case we run into some sort of error. So you come down here, you click Save for Testing. This will save it in the backend for Mythic. Here, what we're doing, this side here actually goes through and hooks the console.log for the page. So anything while we're on this page that gets sent to console.log will pop up here. That's why you're seeing this little error pop up. So if you want to test your changes, simply collapse this, and whenever you re-expand it, your changes will come into play. So we'll re-expand. Here we can see we still have our table. We didn't modify how that worked, but now we have up here in our output that response that we're parsing. And so you can see it here in case there's various issues or things that you want to see to kind of what you're about to be dealing with. So this kind of closes the loop and makes developing or tweaking or modifying these sorts of browser scripts a lot faster because you can easily see the script, what it is that you're debugging, and the actual output here all in one. So let's go ahead and save and exit. And you can see down here, now next to the Poseidon PS, that it says user modified. So this is a clear indication to you that you did something that modified this from the base version that the payload type container reported to Mythic whenever it started up. If you ever run into an issue where things get super wonky or start breaking and you don't know what it was originally, you can always click revert. And this goes through and reverts everything back to whatever version that Mythic has saved from that payload type container. Alternatively, if you have a browser script that's maybe taking up too much processing power or doing something you don't like, and you just want to see every time the raw output, you can always come over here and toggle the little, this is an active button. So now it's not active. And so whenever you expand those tasks, you won't actually see the browser script come into play. So we can easily see this here by clicking edit again. And because it's inactive globally, what you're going to see down here when you click to expand is what you'd see anywhere else, like on the active callbacks or a shared task or anything like that. So it's deactivated. So whenever we expand it, we just get the raw text. Even if you came over here and tried to toggle the browser script, you're not going to see anything because the browser script is inactive. There's nothing to toggle. So we can go ahead and close this. If we simply toggle this back, it's updated, it's active again. Come back here to PS, click expand, we get our table. So it's pretty easy to do that sort of modification loop. Now, like I said, there's a lot that goes into this, a lot of things that you can do. We'll save that for a future developer video. But for now, you have the tools available to you to at least tweak things, maybe change some column headers or colors or whatnot to make it more unique to you as an operator. So you can see this for all of the things that have already been created and ingested by the payload type containers. If maybe the payload type container doesn't have a script for a command, but you want to create one, you can always come up here and say new script, select what payload type you're looking at, what command you want this to be for, and then you can always put in whatever script you want in here and test as you go along. So it's pretty easy to add things in as you need and kind of go things along for at least tweaking and development purposes. So that's browser scripts kind of in a nutshell.